Welcome to KRA's The Hub, the official podcast of KRA Corporation. And now get ready to hear workforce topics and trends you need to know on the go.
Well, this is Jonathan Overall with KRA's The Hub podcast. I'm here in Monterey, California at the CWA, California Workforce Association Meeting of the Minds Workforce Conference. And it has been a great couple of days here, meeting, networking, and getting a chance to connect with old colleagues as well as new people. And I'm joined by a guest who is the CEO and co-founder of Job Machine. Now, Job Machine is a platform and software that is changing the game in job placement for workforce services. Brandon Tigges is here with me. Brandon, welcome to KRA's The Hub.
Thank you, Jonathan. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, Brandon, let's dive in. I want you to share with us what is Job Machine and your role within this company.
Sure thing, Jonathan. Well, my name is Brandon Tigges. I'm the CEO and one of the founders of Job Machine. And Job Machine is just that. It's a machine that gets people jobs. We have an AI placement software that automatically places people, and we do a lot of work in the workforce development space. But when I tell people that we have an AI placement software, generally speaking, the first thing that they ask me is, so are you an AI for resumes tool? Which is very fair. I also get questions like, do you create is it a tool for all of our employers where you get all these job postings and then people apply? And these are both tools, and both of those tools are very useful. The difference, though, with what we do is that those are like if you're going to build a house, there's a lot of tools you can go buy at Home Depot that'll help you build a house, and they're useful, but they're very different than a home builder who will just build a house for you. So Job Machine is we're a home builder for getting people jobs at scale, like thousands of people, but for the price of a tool at Home Depot. So what we do is we take hundreds or thousands of job seekers, customers through the workforce system, and that could be like we owe a Title I dislocated workers, justice impacted individuals, it could be people that have been through a post-secondary school. And what we do is we take all those people and we automatically onboard them onto our software. We make their resumes perfect for the types of jobs they're looking for. We find and apply to jobs on their behalf perfectly. Well, we get their permission to impersonate them during their job search, and we do all the work that it takes to get a job for them. Then from there, we actually schedule the interviews for them. We actually make email accounts for every single person on our software. And then from there, after we schedule the interviews, we guide them through to the process of actually securing the job. What's unique about it is that this is designed for institutions to be able to manage and place thousands of people. So we provide all of our customers who are the workforce providers, could be one-stop operators, AJCCs, actual workforce boards. We do a lot of work with post-secondary schools, but for them, they get a list of all the job seekers. They can see all the interviews they've had, where they're at in the interview or offer process, and then once we help them secure the jobs, we actually go through the process of securing employment verification as well. And the beauty of it is that it takes less than 3 minutes for the job seekers to enroll. They just upload a resume and give us permission to apply to jobs for them. And then there's also no extra data entry for case managers or career services or business services personnel. So it adds a lot of value. It helps a lot of people get jobs.
That's great. I think you hit on a key thing there. When I think about technology innovation, I know a lot of companies are thinking, how can they save time for their staff and not be burdened by data entry and the duplication of that? So I'm sure you guys are able to really address that for the teams that you're working with. Now, talk to us about that conversation with AI. You use the word augment, and it's not replacing the work that a staff member is doing, but it's really helping to enhance. Talk to us a little bit about that and how that message is received by those that you partner with.
Yeah, 100%. One of the things that we encountered when we first started talking about using AI to get people jobs, and some of the first thoughts that I had when I first realized what AI was capable of was, is this going to replace people? And this is super cliche. A lot of other people have said this before, but it's not that AI is going to replace people. With that being said, people who use AI will replace people who don't use AI. Two things, two really important points to make there. The first thing is that some of us are wizards at using ChatGPT, and that's great. But one of our core beliefs is that you shouldn't have to be a power user of ChatGPT in order to get the benefits of tools like that. So with what we do, I mean, no one's writing prompts. You don't have to be, well versed in technology or let alone know how to read to get value from our tool. Someone can literally upload a resume and start getting more interviews than they've had in their life without even knowing what ChatGPT or Gemini or any of them are. Right. So that's important. That's valuable. But then the second thing is that when it comes to the way that we work with staff, well, we're not coming in here and being like, we're going to replace case management. We're not even replacing systems of record. We are not a system of record. We have no intention of replacing tools like CalJobs. There's a lot of federal reporting requirements that don't have to do with getting jobs. Those are problems we're not really interested in solving. We want to help get the things that need to be reported on, but we're not building one of those tools. With that being said, when you think about case managers, like a case manager, it's such a difficult job, and there's so many facets of it. You're helping people through a very difficult, in some cases, traumatic part of their life, which is I just got laid off, or I don't have enough money to feed my family. I need to get back on my feet. So like those emotional conversations and like the encouragement, those are the types of conversations that the case managers really ought to be focusing their time on. And when you have to spend 5 hours teaching someone how, over the course of maybe a month or two, to get a job and motivate them to apply and do all these things that they shouldn't really have to be doing, that's waste. When there's tools that can do that for you and free up a case manager to spend more time engaging with employers or going and enrolling more customers. And that's ultimately what Job Machine is designed to do.
Now, talk to us about some of the outcomes. You're partnering with different boards around the country. What have some of the outcomes been in best case uses that you would point to as success? Yeah,
absolutely. So a lot of it depends on the population. So for instance, we do a lot of work with post-secondary schools. Post-secondary education is interesting because for many of those schools, if they place less than 70% of people, then they lose their standing with accreditors and they lose access to Title IV funding. So some of the schools that we work with, they already have placement rates in the 80 to 90% range. And they'll work with us because we're able to augment their career services team, reduce their costs there, and then increase their placement rates maybe by 5 or 10%, which if you're at 85%, you increase by 5%. That's very positive and well worth it. Whereas there's other examples where we work with populations with significant barriers to entry where our results are much higher than that. So I'll give you an example. We recently did a pilot with Goodwill Southern California, and we were working with WIOA Title I dislocated workers. So the placement benchmark that we were given to beat, they're like, hey, we usually place around 10% of these people. So we went in, and for us, we're like, if we place less than 80%, that's bad. But we didn't. This is one of our early pilots with a new type of a population. Let's see how it goes. So we went in there, and over the course of about 60 days, we put these people through the process. They enrolled it. We enrolled them in Job Machine, and we ended up placing over 55% of them, and for a fraction of the cost of what it would have taken for staff to help those people. So 10% to 55%. So what that means is that we outperformed the benchmark by literally over 5x and for a fraction of the cost.
Wow. I like the way that this system, it really helps to bypass perhaps some of the biases that are in the application and the hiring process. Talk to us a little bit more about how you've seen results that have been successful in that area.
Yeah, 100%. So one of the things I think when you build things, I'm not going to take credit for things that I can't take credit for. My technical co-founder, he's absolutely brilliant, and he's a nuclear engineer by training. He went to Texas A&M, and he really likes physics, and he also really liked college. He took a lot of economics and government classes. He really liked college. I think it took him 6 years to graduate, but both him and I, but especially him, we really believe in working off of strong first order principles. And one of those principles is that you shouldn't have to be a professional job getter in order to do a job and exchange your time for money to be able to to feed your family and afford a better lifestyle for your kids and future generations. And if you think about what's happened over the last 20 years, since technology really took over the process for getting people jobs, you've got candidates on one side and you have employers on the other. And over the last couple of decades, large companies have done exactly what they're supposed to do, which is maximize shareholder value. One of the ways they've done that is by saving time and resources for themselves. And that's why it's one of the reasons why applicant tracking systems are such a pain to get through. It takes 30 minutes to an hour to complete some job applications, which can be very frustrating. And it can be hard for people that are good with technology. I have a couple of close friends who ended up using the job machine, and they're tech workers, and they were struggling to get jobs. And, we ended up having them use job machine, and, both of them ended up being very successful. And two of these people I'm thinking of, they were unemployed for between 3 and 6 months and went from not being able to get interviews to getting, in one case, dozens of interviews. And both of them ended up getting significant pay increases. One of them increased his pay by almost double, and the other increased his by 30%, right? But these are people who they work in tech. Mm-hmm. We're talking in the workforce space about people that have barriers to employment. And how is someone without a GED supposed to go through this process and use all these technologies and effectively navigate that? They could be a great employee and someone who has a lot of value to add, but not be able to get through this process. So one of the beautiful things that I'm really passionate what we've done is that our BHAG as a company, BHAG, it's an acronym for Big Hairy Audacious Goal, is to make it to where any American who wants a job can get one. And if you think about it, well, what's in the way of Americans getting jobs? A lot of it's just process and skills that are just kind of unnecessary. So what we've been able to do is we've taken a lot of those barriers, because imagine an employer with a moat around them. The moat is technology, and it's designed to kind of keep people out and kind of sift through things. Well, what we've been able to do at Job Machine is create this equalizing force that enables a lot of these people who would otherwise not be able to get through that to be able to get inside, because we're eliminating those barriers. And listen, we're not doing the interviews for them, but what we are doing is we're helping them get to the interview. And then we're also doing other soft things along the way. We have this concept called career paths, where as we're bringing people through the process, we're using things like AI to teach them, hey, this isn't about getting a job. This is about getting a career. Ultimately, what we want to do is we want to help people get out of this system and get agency back for themselves and their families. And when you teach someone that, and we do this visually in the platform, or through text message, because not everyone actually logs into the platform, and they shouldn't have to. So we'll tell them, hey, you worked this job for a year or two. Here's the other types of opportunities that lie beyond this. And by the way, if you want to get there, here's the types of skills that you should be focused on. So we do everything that we can to make sure by the time they show up to the interview, they're bringing the best version of themselves. So they don't just show up physically or virtually if it's on Zoom, but they show up emotionally. Because so many times what the people who get hired are the ones who want the job. And we want people to get the best jobs that they can. And also we want to make sure that opportunities don't get missed because people don't fully understand the landscape that they're working in.
Well, Brandon, I want to talk to you about this year's conference. The theme is Fearless Forward. So that's the inspiring theme for all of the leaders that are here at Meeting of the Minds in Monterey. You've probably had a lot of conversation with directors, board members, people that are in leadership within workforce development, talking to you about Job Machine and what it does. What's been the pulse? What's been some of the pain points of those that have come and talk to you to inquire whether your system is the solution for them?
Absolutely. So one of the things that I've noticed has been that there's a big focus on figuring out how to do more with less. Right? There's been a lot of funding cuts to many of these programs, and people, and often in many cases, they don't have as much staff as they used to. but they're still expected to get the same, if not better, placement rates and outcome rates. So I think people are really like getting creative and getting interested in finding ways to explore how they're going to use various tools and various technologies in order to make more out of less. And one of the most encouraging conversations that I had was actually with a close friend of mine named Jorge Marcus. He's the chair of the LA County Workforce Development Board, and he's also the chief impact officer at Goodwill Southern California. And I mean, I just got to say, I've been so impressed over the last few years that I've gotten to know him. He used to be an executive at Robert Half, and I think in the last year or two, he started working with Goodwill. But I know for him, he's doing all kinds of really innovative stuff on the workforce modernization effort, and some of that is things like Job Machine fall into that category, but also like working on creating dashboards and taking data that they have to really more effectively measure their progress and their success in real time. Because so many times in this space, what I've learned is that a lot of my customers, they're working off of data that's stale or it's incomplete, and it's so difficult to get all these things into one place where they can make decisions. Because if you don't have optics, you're flying blind. It would be like if you're running a business and you either don't have a good bookkeeper, so your P&L is inaccurate, or if you don't know how to read it. And it's just been very encouraging to see that people are thinking that way and being forward thinking and thinking progressively as they work into the future.
That's great. Now, how can people find out more about Job Machine? Where do they go? Where do they inquire about that?
Sure thing. They can either go to getjobmachine.com. That's GETJOBMACHINE.com. They're able to schedule a product demo on there. Or if they want to find me on LinkedIn, my name's Brandon Tigges. You just search for Brandon Job Machine and that'll come up.
Brandon, I want to thank you for joining the Hub today. Look forward to staying connected with you, learning more about what you all are doing and the great success.
I really appreciate you hosting me, and I'm glad we had the chance to connect here.
Thank you for listening to KRA's The Hub. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. To learn more about KRA Corporation, visit www.kra.com. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll be back soon with a new episode.